I join you this afternoon in the great county of Nakuru, one of the fastest growing cities in Africa, to wind up a very critical and timely inaugural conversation under the theme, "The Future is Urban." I think to adopt the greeting, as the PS and the CS have explained, maybe we need to improve it a little bit better. So that if I say the future is urban, then you answer in a certain way. In the late 80s, there was a column in the Sad Nation called The Whispers. It was written by a guy from my home county called Wahome Mutahi. May his soul rest in peace. And in that story that was very interesting every Sunday, he was there. His wife was Thatcher, and the children were called the Urbanites. So all those people who believe the future is urban, then they should be urbanites or desire to be urbanites. So when I say the future is urban, if already you live in the urban center, you say, I'm an urbanite. If you don't and you aspire to live in the urban center, you say, I'll be an urbanite. The future is urban. Thank you very much. Mumbai, you are all urbanites. I think I'm the only fellow from the village. This meeting takes place a few days after we hosted the second session of the UN Habitat Assembly in Nairobi on sustainable housing and urban development. This important convening also happens when at least a third of our population is living in urban areas, resulting in new and expansion of existing towns. It is too a moment that the country is deeply engaged in a debate on funding affordable housing. On the other hand, the government has rolled out construction of housing units in major cities and towns across the country. Distinguished guests, the robust discussion of this gathering has resulted in the adoption of key resolutions. We welcome the resolutions because they will inform our framework for sustainable urbanization. For sustainable housing as envisioned by Agenda 2030 of the United Nations, the Ruto administration will review and harmonize legal frameworks to streamline urbanization. The national government will work with the county governments in resource mobilization and strengthening institutions and mechanisms to deliver on this mandate. This will ensure necessary resources are mobilized and sound research-based integrated plans. Further, ladies and gentlemen, resolutions of this forum speak to the Kenya Kwanza plan of dignifying families through decent and affordable housing. Affordable housing will help us grow economically through jobs created in the material and service supply chains. Ultimately, this will reduce poverty, especially among the unemployed youth. Distinguished guests, for sustainable communities and cities, we will continue enhancing our collaboration with the development partners under this agenda. We appreciate the partnership and milestones made in urban governance, infrastructure development, and even capacity building achieved with the support of the World Bank, the UN Habitat, the French Development Agency AFD, the Swedish International Development Agency SIDA, and other development partners and international friends. Your invaluable support in programs such as the Kenya Urban Support Program, the Kenya Informal Settlement Improvement Program, the Nairobi Metropolitan Service Improvement Program has boosted the development of urban areas, cities, municipalities, and informal settlements across the nation. Distinguished delegates, we will continue giving priority to the achievement of one of the most important global agendas on sustainable urbanization, as spelled out in Sustainable Development Goal number 11, on making cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. I am excited that at the end of this conference, yesterday, as the CS National Treasury rolled out the first budget of the Kenya Kwanza government in Parliament, You know, some people have been poking holes in our agenda in matters economy and budget, and it's because we are ignorant. Since we came to office on 13th of September, the budget that we were utilizing was not ours, and hence we take no responsibility for its shortcomings or otherwise. That budget belonged to the handshake regime. Our budget was rolled out yesterday. That is the Kenya Kwanza first budget, and we want to be held to account on its implementation. And there was a very good coincidence yesterday as we rolled out the first budget of the Kenya Kwanza administration. Very good news came from Washington. The World Bank has approved approximately 45 billion Kenya shillings to support 77 municipalities in 45 counties and 2 special municipalities for refugees in Kakuma and Dadaab. And the irony of that announcement from Washington is that as the world and international institutions acknowledge the importance of urbanization, slum upgrading, and affordable housing,